There is a tiny island off the coast of Finland that this family bought after they found it on Google Maps of all places. And after years of planning and months of hauling materials out to the island, since the only way that you can get there is by boat, they finally finished their modern dream home that's equipped with everything that you would ever need, but nothing more. I say nothing more because that was their goal with this home on this island, to build it in such a way where you have all of the bare essentials that you need to survive, but nothing more than that. That way you can enjoy the amazing landscape that the island offers. What's even more cool is that the couple now rents this special property out on Airbnb when they are not here themselves. If you want to stay, it will take you like a day to get here though, and it's gonna cost you a cool $2,400 per night. I thought that I'd seen it all when it came to the best Airbnb accommodations that exist out there, but this house and the story behind it are on another level. So this story all started back in 2013 when this family decided that they had to have a private island off the southern coast of Finland where they could build their dream home. So at that time, they started their quest to find the perfect one. They picked a pretty good place to look for a private island to buy. I actually never really looked into this region before, but it's pretty incredible. Apparently there's around 40,000 total islands here in what's called an archipelago. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but it's basically just a sea containing a bunch of scattered islands. The story goes that originally they tried to find an island out here through a property agency that specializes in island sales, but they didn't have much luck with that. So with nowhere else to turn, they just opened up good old-fashioned Google Maps. They hopped in Alexi's dad's boat and they started just cruising around looking for islands that they liked and trying to find an uninhabited island on their own. Eventually, after years of searching, they finally found an island that they were totally in love with. It was called Skulskuret. I'm sure I'm screwing that one up too. Just to give you some perspective as to where this island is located, the nearest airport is called Helsinki Airport, which is over here. Then to get from the airport to the dock closest to the island, you need to drive 2.5 hours in the car to a town called Kasnes. Then once you get to Kasnes, you hop on a boat and take a 20-minute boat ride to get out to the island. If you can even find it, because there's like a million other islands that you're gonna pass on your way. If you wanna skip the 2.5 hour car ride and 20-minute boat ride, you can opt to take a helicopter straight from the airport to the island, which only takes 45 minutes, but I'm sure that'll cost a fortune. This couple is actually both designers, but neither one of them has designed a house before. One of them designs bars and restaurants, and then the other one is a graphic designer. The biggest goal with the design was just to build the house to blend in with the landscape and occupy as little land as possible. Moving on to the house, these guys decided to build it on one of the 3 peninsulas that are sticking out that you see here, which was a good plan because I guess these waters can get kind of choppy. They were able to position the dock here next to the house in a way where it's somewhat protected from the intense winds and water though. Once they secured the land and finished the house plans, it took them just 5 months to build the home, which is super impressive, especially considering all of the materials needed to be sent out to the island by boat. They did a pretty good job documenting the build process on their Instagram. We'll take a look at the Airbnb listing together here in a minute, but I'll just give you guys a lay of the land first, starting with this drone shot that shows the house perched on the peninsula in the trees. Here's a great angle that shows where the dock sits and exactly how it's connected to the island and the main house. Inside the main house, it's super warm, lots of wood tones, and of course, views in every direction. And we've got an outdoor kitchen here in the breezeway. I actually had a great conversation with the property owner, Alexi, who shared these photos with me. Shout out to Alexi for being an awesome guy and for his photographers for taking these great shots. In total, the purchase of the island itself and then the build cost of all the structures there cost around 1 million euros, which amounts to just over 1 million US dollars. I looked into other islands for sale in the area and I actually had a hard time finding much, which was a surprise considering there's so many islands out here. But I found a thread from some locals that said it's actually pretty common for families to own and pass down these islands from one generation to the next, so they don't actually come come up for sale all too often. This home is now featured in a few different places for rent. It has its own website called project-o.fi, which is loaded with information about the island, the facilities, the dining options, activities around the island, getting there, and pricing. It's also available for rent on this other website called Off-Grid Hideaways, which I had never heard of before. And then last, of course, you can find it on Airbnb. Here it's called Project O Private Island. Here on Airbnb, you can see the property will sleep up to 6 guests with 4 bedrooms and 1 bathroom. The going rate is $2,418 per night, and when we check availability here, it's actually not available for a couple of weeks. Then it has a bunch more time booked out in December. What is this, like the 16th through the 25th, so 10-day booking there. Crazy to think that at that nightly rate, they're making somewhere around $25,000 for just that single 10-day booking. As far as reviews are concerned, this person, Andreas, gave 5 stars and they said they enjoyed their stay. It can be windy at times though, and he said very helpful and friendly hosts. Then I know I put up a few photos earlier, but let's just scan through the Airbnb listing photos real quick because they're really awesome. So this first kind of aerial shot here shows basically everything that's going on. You've got the main house here in the center. Over there to the left is what's that guest quarters / workshop. Then the boat dock over there in the distance. So they definitely went for that indoor outdoor living vibe because there's a ton of deck space all around the property. And then there's this outdoor kitchen and dining area off the main house. I'm sure they spend a ton of time there. A lot going on in these photos. Top left over here is just kind of a cool perspective of the workshop. You can kind of tell if we zoom in there that that's the workshop. Down here on the left is the kitchen. I love the black cabinets and all the wood on the walls. And then over here to the right, you've got a fireplace off the dining room and living area and tons of glass that's just looking out at the trees and the water. These couple of shots here show what looks like a bathroom with an awesome view, and then the sauna over here on the right. So there's a few levels to sit in the sauna. And then there's the stove that gets that room nice and toasty. And then here's this workshop, and it doesn't look like this would be a place that you can sleep, but up there at the top, you can tell there's that little nook. There's actually a bed up there. You've got to admit, no matter what style of architecture you guys are into, this property is pretty amazing. Going back to the property's website, they call this place the Island to Simply Be, and they say your only job here is just to light the logs for the sauna, switch off from time, disconnect with the world, and reconnect with both nature and yourself. Then the activity section here shows that there's actually some stuff to do around here. You got the beach first, which is bordered by all these rocks, so that water's actually probably pretty calm and there's sand, so that's nice. You've got boats and kayaking in case you want to go cruising around the island. There's island hopping available, so I guess there's a couple other islands in the immediate area that you can cruise over to. You can do handcrafts with all these tools that exist in the workshop. They offer those up to you. Of course, there's the hot tub, the sauna, and then just hanging out in the sea. I'm sure I would be doing all of those things if I was staying here. And then last, it looks like they actually have a cooking course, so you can hire this guy to come out and teach you how to do some meals. Pretty fun. By the way that they built this home and where they built it, technically it can be totally off the grid and self-sustainable. For power, it's equipped with solar, so that should do you good as long as you don't have too many cloudy days in a row. For water, they have a filter which can filter water from the Baltic Sea, making the water safe to drink. For heating, they use the sauna's heat actually to heat up the rest of the home, which is pretty cool. And then for food, you can fish. That's obviously going to be hit or miss, but it'll get you by in a pinch. One of the owners said as soon as he arrives on the island, they feel their pulse lower and breathing slow down. And they're actually in the process of building another home on the island now. They just got permission. I hope that you guys enjoyed today's episode. Maybe it inspired you to take a vacation out to an island with yourself or your family, or maybe it inspired you to start a short-term rental business. And if you are interested in doing that, I actually have a short-term rental calculator that I use on all of my properties that I'm analyzing. I link to it down in the description. It's totally free. Check it out if you're interested. I'll see you next time.